Welcome students. In this particular illustration we will be using macros available in C++ to obtain the cube of any given number. Now foremost, there is something that you will have to understand. What exactly is a macro? Now macro is nothing but a piece of code which can be called using a name. That is the simplest way to explain. Of course, when people see that piece of code being called by a name, if people are not aware of it, they might really get confused. In other words, the complexity would be risen greatly if that particular word which connects the code is present in some other header files. Or you will understand what exactly I mean by means of this illustration. So I will just demonstrate this, how exactly we can use macros to obtain the cube of a value. So foremost, let us start with the header file. So include IO stream. So this is the header. Now though I'm obtaining the cube of a quantity, I'm not required to import the library functions connecting math. So I will just go on to say using namespace std, and after this let's start with the main, and I would have to declare the number from the input from the user, right? So I'm going to assign this one. So this is got from the user, and I would subsequently have to find the cube of this particular quantity. Now let me just write result here. Result is equal to number multiplied with number multiplied with number, and then cout, print the result, and you can just return 0 with the parenthesis being closed. And one more thing is that we need to declare the variable result. So this is the usual way of doing things. Receive the input. Cout, please enter the number for which you would want the cube of. So we need to receive that. Cin, the number is received, and then we will take this off and we will place it over here, and then subsequently the result is printed. Now this is the usual way by which we will go about obtaining the cubic value for any given number, the cube value for a number. So let me run it. In fact, I have to build it, so I'm using this icon. So it says please enter the number for which you want the cube for. So I'm entering 3. I know it's going to be 27, so that's exactly what we are seeing here. We want to get rid of this thing. So this looks too much childish. That is where macros come into play. Now with the utilization of macros, I can literally get rid of this particular piece of code. So as I mentioned to you, macros is nothing but a piece of code which is called by using a name. In this case, I am literally placing that piece of code, but I can replace it by using macros. In other words, all I need to do, if I were to declare this or create a macro for this, I would have to just call this particular line of code using a name. Simple as that. So let us go over here, and to create a macro, the first thing is that you need to place a channel and the keyword define and space. You can give any name for the matter. I'm going to give cube, okay, cube of x. So if I were to call this cube of x, what would happen? It would multiply x 3 times. So that's exactly what's going to take place. So x multiplied with x multiplied with x, and that's it. You don't have to place any semicolon when you are describing or when you're defining a macro. So right over here, you can get rid of this particular line, and then you can simply call that name. So over here, what I need to do is I can simply say result is equal to cube of that particular number which we have received. So we have received NUM. So that's it. Now, if I were to save it and execute it, you will find the output has got no change. So let me give 3 there, as I had given in the earlier case. So I will get 27. You see that? So let me run this one more time and give a popular number 5. 5 means 125. That's fine. Let me give 4. 4 means 64. You see that? So clearly you can see the macro has totally taken our code to a different level. So instead of just, if in this case it's cubic value, suppose you want to get a quintic value or a quartic value. So these are all, it involves too many expressions being multiplied and placed inside the code, inside the body of the code. And that sometimes is messy. We can simply avoid that. So that is the idea of macro. Now let me include this particular line of code, std::cin dot get. Now what exactly is the purpose of this particular command? Let me just show you in a minute. So I'm going to say cout. This is the app to find the cubic value of a number. Okay. Now if I were to save it and run it, you will see a screen, a blank screen with the pointer blinking. Now the program would only start its execution if and only if you enter the key, any key. If you were to enter this key, it says that this is the app to find the cubic value of a number. Please enter the number. Okay, I'm entering 6, so the cubic value of 6 is 216. Okay, that's fair enough. So now you know that if I were to include a command like this, then the cursor is actually waiting there for the user to enter a key on the keyboard. Now I am going to use a macro to define this. So I'm going to state here channel define. Say since the pointer is waiting, I'm going to use a word called wait. It has got no significance up until the time that I associate the piece of the code which I've just shown you with this. So it's going to be std::cin dot get. You don't have to place any semicolon there. So now instead of having std::cin dot get, I'm going to just place wait. That's it. That's all you need to do. So if I were to save it and run it, you see that there is a wait there. Now you need to enter the key and then probably gives any number of your choice and you get the output 343. Now the most important point you have to know here is, now you can clearly see when you see this word wait, most of the individuals who are not aware of the concept of macros in C++ would get thrown away. Why is this word being present there? Point number 2, if you have not included this file over here, this library over here, but you have included this elsewhere in your code, that would also be a throw-off for someone who's reading the code for the very first time or who is inexperienced and is reading the code. So there are many things that have to be taken into consideration when we are using macros. Of course, a macros is a a very important concept, very powerful concept, which adds more flamboyance to the code. That's the way I see it.